I'm here with John Mills, Bronze Quill winner from Bupa. John, tell me what it means to you to win a Bronze Quill.
It's exciting.
So John, tell me a bit about your submission.
We won a Bronze Gold Quill for our submission on growth. We have a growth program, and it's a way of informing our employees how we're doing as a business. So we create some interest around telling people how we're doing in a visual way.
Certainly. And how was this program received within the company?
It was very well received. It included travelling around the world, was part of the concept of the whole idea. So different people went to different countries as we progressed in our growth targets, and it was received very well.
So I'm here with IABC superstar Kelly Vandren. Kelly, tell me what it means to you to win a Bronze Quill.
Look, it's a great honour. We put in a submission for helping our employees understand the company's strategy, which was really exciting that people actually embraced that and were interested in the company and what we're trying to achieve.
Wonderful. And for everyone playing at home, your company is?
Bupa Australia.
Of course it is. So, Kelly, can you tell me a little bit about your involvement with the IABC?
Yes, I'm one of the board members at the IABC and have been for about 9 months now. And it's great. It's a good opportunity to meet other people in the industry and get to put something back in.
Wonderful. So it's definitely something you'd recommend for non-IABCers?
Absolutely.
Kelly, thank you so much. James, can you tell me a little bit about your involvement with the IABC?
This is actually the first time that I have entered the awards. I've became a member last year, corporate membership from Ambulance Victoria, and we've entered an internal campaign that we did to increase awareness about swine flu and the correct preparation and safety tips for paramedics to use.
Wonderful. So what does it mean to you to win a Bronze Quill?
Look, I think it's a great honour. I think the whole process of entering the awards, reviewing the work that's done by the team throughout the year, and the learnings you can get from that is invaluable, and yeah, we've certainly got a lot out of it as a communications department.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for your time.
I am the only baby boomer in the room because no one else is going to admit to it. So if the test of who wins this thing is a claim, I expect to lose, and I'm saying that now. So I think the best strategy is I adopt a mix of hostility and reconciliation, so I have you all confused. The boomers have two advantages that you guys don't have, and you will have it. One of them is the time. There's a lot of research around at the moment that we're starting to come to light. There's roughly 10,000 hours it takes to master any field. That's not Groundhog Day, you can't just do the same experience. But if you spend 10,000 hours of applied study and application going through various levels of evolution in any subject, it could be chess to paramedics or whatever else, you will become a master in that area. So the boomers have that advantage. They've had more time to fluff around with that. The disadvantage for the wise is there's a lot of hormones jumping around for you guys, and you get very distracted at the moment. So you've got to let yourselves calm down a little bit, and you probably have a chance of reaching that level. The X's are kind of halfway there. The other advantage that the generation what boomers have is that we look older. You know, and you might think, oh, look, Geoff, you're bald, you're overweight. Give us a break. I don't want to look like you. Harry said he really was interested in all the experiences you'd had, all the punches you'd copped, all of the problems you'd had in the jobs you'd done. And he summarised, he said, you guys have been through the mill and you had the scars to prove it. Boomers are running the world. No, they didn't always. The group before them did, and we all stand on the shoulders of each generation. We all pick it up. The previous generation, to me, was terribly generous. I would not be where I am today without the help of people. I could name them, I won't tonight, but the fantastic generosity.
To define us, we were the people who are in the room and were born from about the mid-1960s until about 1980. So that means we're in our early 30s through to our mid-40s. We're about 4.5 million in number, which makes us about a fifth of the population, but 2/5 of the workforce. And like the generations before us, the way we think about the world has been influenced by all the events that have shaped our generation, the events too that shaped the lives of our parents as we grew up, And of course, they're shaped by the current stage of life that we're in. But I was thinking, what is it that really does define us as Gen Xers? And I looked through popular culture, looked at all the things we grew up with, and I think we have in common that we're too old to stay out much later than about 11 o'clock on nights like this, but we're too young to eat at 6 o'clock, although we'd secretly rather like to. You know you're from Gen X when the Brady Bunch movie brings back memories and you remember trying to guess the episode from the first scene. You are from Gen X when you can remember who shot JR. You're from Gen X when, at the time, you believed special effects could get no better than the movie Tron. You're from Gen X when you took family holidays before they invented SUV cars, and it means people like me and a lot of you were strapped into the back of the car looking at cars behind you. And you know you're from Gen X when you watched HR Pufnstuf as a child, but now you're older, you really understand it would have been better if you'd known about drugs at the time. We grew up with Duran Duran, Cyndi Lauper and Boy George. I mean, not literally growing up with Boy George, for the same reason that I mentioned in Michael Jackson's case. And in terms of clothes, corduroy, stonewash, not acid wash Gen Y, stonewash, hypercolour t-shirts, do you remember that? Shoulder pads, white trousers, and that was just for the men, leggings, leg warmers and leotards. I'm sure some Gen Xers think that boomers had it a bit easier, like every generation does of the generation before them, and we're also certainly envious of Gen Y because of the opportunities we think they have. At the workplace, we're pretty much in our mid-careers. We're breaking through into senior management roles, and they're roles where, to our surprise, often people listen to our advice and take it. We don't have the executive offices to ourselves just yet. We're sharing them with the boomers. And compared to us, those boomers really like structure and they love meetings. By contrast to those boomers we work with, informality, spontaneity, we like autonomy and debate and freedom. If we disagree with the boss, we like to say so. We demand work-life balance rather than a work ethic. As I said, we value options rather than commitment, and we love to think independently rather than follow orders. Sound familiar? We like to debate ideas rather than receive instructions. We like to think independently rather than being told what to think. And that means we'll rarely advance an argument that we don't personally believe in, and we'll often be so engaged that we pick holes or improve arguments on the fly.
I think I've got a really tough job because we're obviously the most hated generation, but there's lots that I can talk about in terms of what we've added to the communication profession. And apologies in advance for my propensity to read. My brain seems to have stopped working after 140 characters. I'd rather be tweeting this. So I'm here to wrap up the sentiment of the infamous Gen Y. We're also known as the millennials, or the generation that gives the press good link bait. So in 2010, Australians spent 34% of their media consumption online, which equates to 2 days out of every working week. Yeah, that's 2 days. And out of that 22%, is spent on social sites. And I really feel that social media could be perhaps the biggest game changer that the communications profession has ever seen. So we've introduced continuous and non-disruptive forms of communication, while others are barking down their phones' handsets, demanding attention from their victim. We're digital natives plugged into the matrix. Heck, my least favourite part of my iPhone is the actual call function. I recall one time I was at a Friday morning social media meetup and was enjoying conversation with a friend when a late Gen Xer walked over to introduce himself. He made a snide remark about my inability to put my phone down. While I'm sure he thought I was breaking some sort of social grace, he'd failed to understand the skill of multitasking. Yes, I can. Yes, I can hold a conversation while responding to client work over email, texting my partner and posting twit pics on the social mail Twitter account. Can't we all? This isn't about broadcasting carefully crafted messages from old school media outlets. It's about listening. Listening is a crucial part of communication, yet it's only with the advent of social media that we've really started to become obsessed with it. For too long, communication has been at the mercy of the media, stalking journalists in the hope of a mention in some dying masthead. Gen Ys understand we're all media companies now. Individual influence have more power and can have more power and reach than the leading established brands. We've all built the current communication ecosystem together. All we need to remember is we're all humans and to communicate without judgment and with respect. I also haven't checked my phone for 10 minutes and I'm getting notification anxiety. But most importantly, I'm looking forward to speaking with you and not at you. So thank you and have a good night.